Good evening, this is Richard, and I am your host at Religion in the World Today, welcoming my guest Nikki, who has been studying the Hindu caste system in India for several years. We're excited to have you here today, Nikki.
Thanks, Richard. I'm happy to be here.
Today, we're discussing the controversial Hindu caste system. The caste system is an ordered placement based on work positions, which isn't chosen but rather inherited from your family. This means if your family is a Sudra, you will always be a Sudra. You're left with no choice when it comes to your class in society and in the workplace. Can you expand more on this, Nikki?
Sure. This system has been very controversial because what was intended to be historically has since changed, which we will explain in detail later in our broadcast. If we look at the hierarchy, there are four main caste classifications. The highest caste, which is Brahman, consists of priests and academics. These are the people who teach others. Following them is the Kshatriya, that consists of all forms of public service, including warriors and rulers. Vaishya is the third, and it consists of skilled laborers such as merchants and business people. The fourth is Sudra, and they are the lowest caste. It is comprised of semi-skilled and unskilled laborers. Some examples are farm workers and servants. In addition to these four, there are also the untouchables. This is a category in which you will see outcasts. The jobs included are street cleaners, sewer cleaners. In a sense, you could say they do all the dirty work. The untouchables are subordinate to all members of other castes and should not touch them or interact with them.
I understand that the caste system holds a long history that helps to explain how it came to be. Can you tell us a bit about this history?
Yes, of course. There are lots of different theories speculating how the caste system came about. The first one is called the racial theory. According to Dr. Mazumdar, the caste system became active after the arrival of Aryans in India. When the Aryans arrived, they separated people in India based on speech, religious practices, and physical features. With this theory, only the top three levels were really discussed. The Sudra class occurs only once in the Rig Veda literature. The second theory is the political theory. This theory assumes that the caste system was used by the Brahmins to get themselves ahead of the game. Their intention was to be placed on the highest social hierarchy. Many scholars believe this theory to be true. By creating these castes, it allowed the Brahmins to make the three lower classes succumb to their teachings and orders. In the beginning, it was nothing but respect of the ranking of the Brahmins. But the idea of separation became more evident, and it started to create a bigger divide. When distinctions became clear, the rest of the classes followed suit, creating the caste system we know now. The third is the occupational theory. According to this theory, the origin of the caste system can be found in the nature and quality of social work performed by the various groups of people. Some professions were regarded as better or more respectable, and the caste system was based on this structure. This led to many subclasses such as Lohar, Sonar, Shamar, or Pawa, to name a few. The fourth is the traditional theory. According to this theory, the caste system is of divine origin. There are some references in Vedic literature where it is said that castes were created by Brahma, the supreme creator, so that human beings may harmoniously perform the various social functions essential for the maintenance of society. According to Dr. Mazumdar, if, however, we take the divine origin of the Varnas as an allegorical explanation of the functional division of society, the theory assumes practical significance. Based on this theory, the tribes adopted certain guaranteed professions and assumed the form of groups in India. The priests enjoyed greater prestige and wealth through hereditary disposition, where other groups all came into alignment with each other, forming the other castes. The fifth is the religious theory. in ancient India, religion had a prominent place. The king considered to be was considered to be in the image of God, and the priest kings maintained positions to different functional groups through generations. The last is the evolutionary theory. According to this theory, the caste system is a result of long social evolution, which was influenced by a number of factors.
I understand the controversy is that a lot of things have changed since the 20th century in regards to the caste system. Why did this happen?
Most people associate the changes to the British taking over and creating a new mindset in India at the end of the. This is when it shifted from a caste system focus to basing power and on status and wealth and education. People started moving from compact villages to towns and cities, and this broke down many of the caste ideas. The economic factors changed during the British ruling because they didn't base a person's economic abilities on caste. However, the social discrimination was still just as bad. When the British left, India carried on this mindset for years to come.
It's hard to think that this is something that would still be prevalent in a modern society. Is it really still a problem, or is the caste system a thing of the past?
You're right, Richard. It is hard to believe. It really has evolved and become more flexible in the bigger cities such as Delhi. But unfortunately, in most rural areas, there is still a lot of discrimination.
Really? Wow, that's really surprising.
Tell me about it. The government has, however, made it legally forbidden to discriminate based on your caste status, but there's only so much they can do.
So they are making efforts to overcome discrimination?
Yes, that's correct. Not only that, but they have also put a system into place to hold spots in government jobs for lower class caste members. Although it's a great idea with good intentions, it's still causing a lot of divide because people from higher castes think it's unfair. Another problem they are running into is that the lower caste members aren't trying to get post-secondary education, and they are just relying on these government jobs.
I can see how that could cause some tension. Now, in terms of marriage, does the caste system come into play there?
Oh, it sure does. In fact, inter-caste marriages are still frowned upon, although they are not illegal. Some families even go as far as dismissing their children on the basis of inter-caste marriages. Once again, it is more prominent in rural areas, but even when you go on dating sites, they ask for your caste classification.
So, Nikki, what is your opinion about the caste system as a whole? Should this carry on for years to come, or should it be abolished?
To me, it's not something that I could see being fair or just in any way, and this is why I struggle with it. Although I do understand the basis of the idea, and I get why it could in some cases be beneficial to certain people. In some ways, we have this sense of caste in North America, too. But we can choose what we want to do with our lives and work our way to the top, which is then supposed to allow you to gain respect and idolization from others. However, in the caste system, you will never be faced with this choice. Your fate is set in stone before you're even born. What kind of life could this lead to? I can't say it sounds very appealing to me. The limitations that are forced upon people make me feel like it would limit growth as a country. I tend to be on the side who thinks that when you give people the power of education and knowledge, they can be or do anything they want, and they will certainly flourish. How could an economy that discourages growth and innovation ever succeed? This is what makes me think that taking steps to fast-track abolishing the caste system could be beneficial.
Thanks for your opinions, Nikki. I feel I have to agree with you. During our discussion, I think that much needs to be done in order to fix the current system. There is no need for there to be millions of people locked into the slums just because of who their parents were. What would we say as a human race if the next Albert Einstein or Picasso was born in those slums? What if there was a person that knew how to cure cancer or another disease that we are currently unable to cure was born and died in those slums? It is so sad to see that people can be treated so poorly in such an advanced time. How can we, as a human race, allow for such discrimination to continue? I'm not sure. So, Nikki, how about we summarize what we have discussed here today? From my understanding, The origination of the caste system is really unknown, as there are many conflicting stories of how and when it came into practice. The original idea for the caste system was to ensure that each village or town had all the required positions necessary to complete a village. Also, designed in the system was a way to ensure that no person had too much power by limiting what caste level you were in.
That's right, Richard. The caste system started with great intentions, however, it did change over time, and now it is a faulty system that allows for millions of people to be used and abused with no way out. People like Mahatma Gandhi have led the change to eliminate the discrimination in the caste system with little success so far.
Well, thank you again for joining us today, Nikki. It has been a real pleasure talking with you. This is Richard and my guest Nikki signing off. Good night and God bless.